collaboration with the Cyprus Mail. This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosi Charalambous.
KISA, the local NGO for equality support and anti-racism, organised an event recently at which there were several speakers from across Europe. Access Rights for Migrants and Refugees in Cyprus was the title of the conference, and on the first panel of the afternoon, one of the speakers was Sara Prestianni, an executive committee member of EuroMed Rights, and she joins us now to talk about the problems of integration and mobility, part of the EU migration agenda. Sara, you're with an NGO in Italy, and of course Italy has been at the forefront really over the last few years of migration, particularly from North Africa. So what would you say is best practice when you're dealing with huge numbers of people coming in?
The first best practice is to start to think about not only number, as may too often done by Italian government, but to people, women, men, children, most of them in need of international protection. The other important thing is the fact to take into account the fact that people still arrive because they fly, difficult situation in their country, war, poverty, and so many reasons. So the only way is to open legal way, because if there are no legal way, the only solution is people will take boats and risk their life in the sea, as we can see in Italy. But in the time we have seen a huge number of arrival with Albanian people in 90, and now with the people from Africa. One of the best practices that we can develop is the idea of a reception system. A reception system have to be the more little and spread around the country. We see that big camps not taking account of personal situation, and reception have to be always with integration practice. That is mean classes of languages, training, the possibility to enter in labor market, of course, the right to work, and the psychological assistance also, because we see that most of the people arriving in Italy have suffered torture in Libya. So in that way, people can be integrated more rapidly and can be enter in the Italian life more easily.
Let me just ask you this, though. A boat arrives. The people are offloaded and they go to one of these reception centres. I'm presuming that then each application is looked at, and some will be granted asylum and allowed to stay, but others won't. So at what point do the language lessons and everything else kick in? For example, how long does it take for those applications to be processed in Italy? Because here in Cyprus it takes forever.
In Italy, the time is more or less 2 years, and it's during this time that all these tools have to be done, because, have to be honest, most of the people will stay in Italy in any case. So are some skills that you can give also in the first times that you arrive. In Italy, what happened when a boat arrive? Before 1 year, they enter in a big center in Lampedusa or in Sicily, just few days, and then they are spread all around Italy in different camps. In some, they are absolutely different, so it's also by chance that there are good camps and bad camps. Good reception system, because there are a little one taking account personal history, a big one that really cannot follow each case.
Who runs the camps?
Organization and association. There are two kinds of camps. There is a camps managed by the municipality. That is the what for me is best practice, because there is a relation with the municipality, and but they are concretely run by association. And then there are other camps that are under the control of Minister of Interior. They are also run by association, but the possibility to run these camps are with with less transparency. So in some cases there are like business also in this kind of reception. So that is change to city to another, from a camp to another, also because it's up to who run the camps. If it won't really make a good work for refugee, or just won't make business with refugees. So that it's quite different. Now when migrants arrive, because the European Commission imposed what we call the hotspot approach, they arrive in a hotspot, a place where they are identified, fingerprints are taken for Dublin regulation, and there they make them some question, and sometimes up to nationality they are considered as asylum seekers, so they enter in asylum system, or they consider a migrant, so they receive a paper that they say to them, you have to leave the country in 7 days. That is a kind of expulsion paper.
But where can they go with that expulsion paper? Do they try and go to a different European country, or do they have to leave and go back to North Africa?
No one, of course, will go back. Most of them enter in what we can call the legal people in Italy and try to find a way to survive. Try to go in another country. That is the big problem, that from the moment that hotspot approach have been approved, most of them try to go in another country, but they always send back to Italy because their fingerprint have been registered when they enter in Italy. So we look at all the borders, people, especially in this day with winter, and there are a lot of people still trying to cross the border and to go to France and Austria and still go to England and other countries. The problem is that most of them will be sent back in Italy.
You've worked in this area for some time. Just tell me very quickly what you would like to see to improve the chances and the future for these people who arrive on our shores from war-torn countries or being persecuted for their sexual orientation or whatever it happens to be. They're looking for a way to continue their life with some positivity. What can we do to help?
I think that the first point it will be to oblige member states to respect the international convention they have seen and the right that migrant refugees have. It's not the case now. People are let die in the sea. This is the violation of right of life. People are pushed back when an asylum seeker is the systematic violation of Geneva Convention. So the first moment I would like that their right will be respected. And the second thing is they have been considered as human beings with hope, with the past, difficult past most of the case, and with a future. That is completely changed most of the European and also national policy on migration. That is mean to not focus only to externalization of policy, try to push back them in transit country, try to send back them again, to not let them enter, but to try to find a solution to integrate them into Europe with the solidarity approach among member states, and not just oblige them to stay in Cyprus, Spain, Italy or Greece because they are the first line country. All member states have to make their part, and only in that case we will see that the number of people arriving are really few comparative of millions of people present in Lebanon or in Turkey or in other countries. So Europe can do that. Europe can integrate and have a good migration policy, and they have to respect them as human beings. If they will not do that, racism, xenophobia and systematic violation of human rights will be always there and will be a danger not only for migrants but also for our democracy.